What is Mordhau? Mordhau is a multiplayer medieval battle simulator. You can choose from a handful of game modes to immerse yourself in medieval first or third person warfare. And how else to do this but character creation? On Mordhau you can create a fully customizable warrior, archer, engineer or even a hybrid depending on how you spend your points. Your points are a heavy factor in creating your new champion of battle. They are used to balance out the combat in order to make sure there aren't any players running around with a ridiculous amount of weapons and armor. Let's take a look at the character creation screen. After naming your champion, you will be presented with this screen. At the top you can see a section for points. When creating your character, you always start with 16. These can equally be distributed through your character's armor, weapons and perks. It is important to note that the only armor that matters is the head slot, torso slot and the leg slot, as the other slots are purely cosmetic. In each of the previously mentioned slots, you have a choice of light, medium or heavy armor. These increase in point accordingly. Think carefully when choosing your armor as it can have an effect on your movement speed. Light armor costs less points and lets you move more freely, but won't save you from a well-aimed axe or sword. Medium armor provides the mid-tier of protection whilst allowing a fair amount of movement, whilst finally, heavy armor slows your movement down, but will provide a lot more protection than the light and medium alternative. Moving on to the gear section. In this section you can choose your weapon or main hand of choice, secondary and tertiary options. Opening up the equipment list, we can see a variety of different weapons and armor to choose from, even some obscure things like toolboxes. Each weapon has its own list of values and can be reskinned and customized. You're able to see the basic stats of a weapon as you hover over it at the bottom of your screen. This lets you know the damage it's capable of, how fast it is, and the length of its reach. Within the advanced stat of the Zweihander we can see how much it costs to perform certain attacks, whether or not it can combo, how much damage it can do to wooden structures, and its speed. These are all important factors to issue in when creating your character. Some of you will be happy to know you are not limited to melee weapons when it comes to creation. You're also able to pick from a few ranged weapons such as the crossbow, the recurve bow, the longbow, firebombs and some throwing axes. You have the usual options for aesthetic customization such as how muscly or skinny you are, your skin colour, hair colour, pitch of your voice for when you're screaming in the face of your enemies, and the rest of the usual customization jazz. Last, but by far least, is the perks tab. In this wonderful tab, we can customize how we act on the battlefield. One example is Bloodlust. This perk costs 5 points, which is a lot considering you have to spread them out efficiently. But if you do have the points, you can restore full health after each melee kill, which is ridiculously good. But that would be at the sacrifice of a piece of armor, or weapon. Perks, armor and weapons are all something that need to be thought about explicitly when diving into battle. If you don't have the correct setup that works for you, then you won't enjoy the game as much. Right, let's go ahead and dive into the game modes. Alright, so the first game mode that we're going to move on to is Frontline. Frontline consists of 64-person Team Carnage. The objective is to capture camps and push the enemy back to their keep. If successful, your team is rewarded with siege weaponry to attack the opposing team's keep. Alternatively, you can win the game by depleting the enemy's forces down to 0. Sounds simple, right? No. Try dodging archers from every angle while someone tries to decapitate you on horseback. It's not easy. This mode is a giant frenzy of blood and brutality, delimbing and decapitating foes whilst pushing your team towards victory. Or in my case, dying a lot. That brings me onto the steep learning curve that this game offers. Whilst the combat is fully immersive and extremely fun, even if you're dying, it is hard to master. Timing is your best friend if you want to be able to parry or even strike an opponent that you see. However, once you learn the basics, which is covered by a fully voice-acted tutorial on the home screen, the game clicks and all of a sudden you're slicing off limbs left, right and centre. But when inevitably dying, you can spawn at whichever camp your team successfully captured and protected. However, if the camp is under siege, you're not able to spawn there. At the end of every game mode, win or lose, you're rewarded with XP and gold, which can be used to purchase weapons, skins and armour. The game does have a long range option, which again offers a very steep learning curve, but it's incredibly rewarding once it's mastered. Picking off an enemy archer from behind your walls whilst your teammates push through can be really fun, and it offers a more stealthy approach to an otherwise not so stealthy bloodbath. When jumping into the game, you are given the option to play as a selection of preset characters, which is perfect for when you're grinding out the first few levels and earning the golden experience required to wield some of the weapons and armours, which you'll be using to build your own class. It also gives you a good chance to understand the playstyle of some of the weapons. At the end of every game mode, win or lose, you're rewarded with XP and gold, which can be used to purchase weapons, skins and armour. Battle Royale. Next we have a more quick-based style of play with the Battle Royale mode. This mode mimics the basic concept of Battle Royale. You start out with nothing but rags and your fists as weapons. There is a fog that will kill you instantly, that slowly closes around the central location, and you can loot weapons and armour along. The way you acquire your weapons, armour and battle gear is through finding chests scattered across the map. Though generally you pick up one or two chests before being confronted by a lunatic with an executioner's blade. Once you've got a weapon, and if you're lucky, armour and a bandage or two, the goal is to stay alive by confronting your enemies one by one using your newfound skills as a master at arms, or alternatively hiding it out and hoping no one sees you. The variety and sheer randomness of this game makes it extremely fun to play. Going up against a knight in full plate armour and a two-handed sword with nothing but a blacksmith's hammer and fire bombs is interesting to say the least. Horde mode. Finally we have Horde mode. This mode consists of waves and waves of enemies spawning. They start spawning with no weapons or really mediocre weapons, but this changes with each round. As you progress, you will encounter harder and harder enemies with more health and better weapons. This mode is a fantastic way to perfect your archery and, in the early rounds, your melee ability. When you start, similar to Battle Royale, you have nothing. You will also notice a chest in the bottom right hand corner of your screen with a number next to it. This represents your points. These points can be earned by damaging and killing enemies, and completing rounds. The points can be spent on items scattered across the map, such as scythes, halberds, crossbows, and lots of other weapons, also armour. You should also notice 3 physical chests in front of your character, or at least somewhere near your spawn. One is the common chest, which costs 50 points. This will reward you with something common, such as a dagger, arming sword, a bandage, a rock, something like that. The second is the uncommon chest, which will reward you with items slightly better than the common chest, and you're less likely to get junk such as rocks. The third and final chest is an epic chest, which will once again reward you with items slightly better than the last chest. I mean, you can get some really good items from this chest, but also you might not. I would advise staying away from the chest as a beginner, as you can find weapons and armour all over the map quite easily. The first few rounds can be punched, and after that you'll have enough points to buy something more heavy hitting. As you progress through the levels, you may notice that the enemies get harder. It doesn't stop there. Later in the rounds, it may be around round 15, giants. Yeah, giants come for you. Though this is a fun game mode and good for practicing, it does have its downfalls. Enemies aren't able to climb ladders. To counteract this, the developers had added in a throwing mechanism for the NPCs, where they throw turds or stones at you, and it kind of works because it only hits you at the edge of your platform. Unfortunately, that means that you can successfully camp out all 20 rounds in a tower with a ranged weapon, be it a crossbow or a recurve bow. Hell, you can do it with 6 of those weapons if you want, so you never have to get down again. Honestly, I don't know how you'd kill the giants otherwise. They're huge and have massive clubs that would flatten you in seconds. Additionally, we have the option to play custom matches through the server browser feature. This allows us to play games that are slightly modified by the host. This could be a battle with no horses, for example, or maybe just one-on-one fights. Alongside the matchmaking feature, we can set up our own local maps against bots in any of the previously mentioned game modes. So if you're not feeling ready to take on the growing population of good Mordhau players, you can always start slicing off the limbs of some NPCs. To round it all up, Mordhau is an excellent game that builds and boosts on a combat style that we all know and learn to love from chivalry, which isn't a bad thing at all. Everyone loves chivalry. Well, I love chivalry. I don't know if everyone else did. This game isn't the most polished in some areas, but you can forgive it due to the fact that the sheer brutality and gore makes up for anything and everything. Whenever you die, it doesn't matter. You don't feel as if you're not having fun. You die and you're like, wow, I just got sliced. It's brilliant. At the moment, this game is on Steam for £23.79, which is an absolute steal. I've put 20 hours into this game over the last 3 or 4 days, and honestly, it's been so enjoyable. Try it, don't try it, at least you know what it is. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Let me know in the comment section below whether or not you firstly enjoyed watching the video. Secondly, if you've got the game, if you enjoy playing the game. If you don't enjoy playing the game, send us a comment, let us know. And don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.